Hi, everybody. Tom Ball from Sun Racing here, back with the latest Sun Racing preview ahead of the weekend action, which of course is headed by the King George. Bit of a damp squib this year with only 4 runners, but at least Unable takes her chance against an Aidan O'Brien battalion. I'm delighted to be joined by Chad Yeomans of Betway and by Steve Mullin, aka Templegate of the Sun. Steve, let's start with you. Only 4 runners in the King George. A bit disappointing, isn't it? Do you think Unable is very much the one to beat?
Yeah, I mean, it's hardly the greatest worry for the sport, I suppose, that a Group 1 like this can't attract a big field, but it is disappointing. And even at the entry stage, it was only John Gosden and Aidan O'Brien. It's a shame that none of the other yards in Britain and maybe Ireland think they've got a horse capable of even contending at this level, which I know it's a different calendar this year, but still it's a bit disappointing. I mean, you could enter this if you were rated over 80, and I'm surprised some enterprising owner hasn't stuck one of the handicappers in just to snaffle some prize money, but there you go. Yeah, I mean, it's still a good quality race. If you look at the official ratings, I mean, they're up there with any renewal, really. It's just that there's not many of them. A couple of Derby winners in there as well. But I can't see anything beating Enable unless it's one of those times where the small field just makes it a bit of a joke race and it turns into a big sprint. So obviously, from a betting point of view, you'd be worried at 1 to 2. But on the form, they said they were very happy with the Eclipse run. I'm not sure whether that's right or not, but it wasn't a terrible run. And like they say, that the training are for the arc, aren't they? So this is another stepping stone for that. Be very interested to see how Sovereign gets on. Won the Irish Derby, of course. Decent run at the Curragh, only the second run, since then. But it's hard to see Japan turning the form of the Eclipse round for me.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. Chad, what about you? What do you think?
Slightly disappointed in the sense there's only 4 runners, but I don't know if that's a major shock or surprise, really, considering the fact we had the Derby 3 weeks ago. It's in a normal year, yeah, you might say, do you know what, there should have been a few 3-year-olds runners. But this year, I think there's plenty of reasons why you can say there is only 4 runners. And I think it's a top quality field, an Oaks winner, a Juddmonte winner, an international winner, the Irish Derby winner, an English Derby winner. It's a class little race. I do think Enable will win. I do think she's the best horse in the race. And I do think no matter how many horses are in the race, it is going to be tactical. Sovereign's going to, Enable's going to sit second. And I think Frankie will try and pull a wide, customarily, as he does. When they come around Swinley Bottom, he'll make his move, come around to the final bend, he'll kick, and he'll play catch me if he can. And she's usually got too much pace and puts too many lengths between her and the field. And I think it'll be a similar sort of thing. Japan, I'm convinced he's a stonking bet for the arc each way, and then they're working back from that. Anthony Van Dyke hasn't won since the Derby. He'll crop up in something. Probably it'll just crop up where you least expect him in the Breeders' Cup or something. But it wouldn't be for me here. I've got to say that we saw plenty of interesting money for Sovereign, 25 to 1 on Tuesday, and that is there just might be something in that. It just might be that he's going to go out in the lead, and he might even try and do a serpentine and go so far clear. He went from the front in the Irish Derby. He's got a bit of class. He still needs to step up a hell of a lot to beat Enable, don't get me wrong. But if there is ever going to be one way that she might get beaten, it might just be a younger horse going clear. But on the face of it, are we just trying to find things that can get a beat? Because she's not going to get a beat, is she? Steve said it, you said it, I said it. Enable win. Let's go with that.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. I think Enable will win as well. I'd be very surprised if she didn't. I think the only way she will get beaten is, as you say, if Sovereign does what he did in the Irish Derby, goes very, very far clear, and they just can't catch him like Serpentine did in the Epsom Derby. So yeah, Enable for me. I hope she does win. It'd be great to see her win a third King George, and fingers crossed she can do it. Moving on to the International Stakes, which is probably a far more interesting race, really, in terms of competitiveness. We've got the Moet Chandon International Stakes over 7 furlongs, a really competitive handicap here with Blue Mist heading the market following a pretty unlucky run at Royal Ascot. Ebury is up there as well for Rasheen Murphy and Martin Mead. A Sharcy down the bottom as well, and a few others, including Chief of Chiefs, who comes back trying to make that chip chase effort. Chad, let's start with you this time. What takes your eye in this race?
Well, I don't like the favourite at all. And this is the way I've kind of pictured up the race. Is the favourite to me is short and should be twice the price. He's only ever won twice. Both been 9 to 4 every time. Both times he's won. He's an expensive horse to follow, and he doesn't quite do it for me. Now I don't know if Steve will tell me something different. I don't know whether he's found something, but pretty unconvincing. And I think if you take Ryan Moore out of the equation and maybe take the popularity of the Silks and a few other bits that go into it, this horse is flat as to deceive a lot of the time. Ebury ran really well from the Fireside Group in the Silver Hunt Cup. Ran okay. I just wouldn't. It was not for me. Maybe just needs to improve again, but I'm yet to see it. But Ashazi down the bottom, bolted up at Sandown, has an absolute lightweight off it. George Rook takes off another 5, drawn 17. So we don't quite know if the draw's going to have the same bias as it did at the Royal meeting, but if it does, you want to be drawn high. And there just might be something in Ashazi who might, to say the cliche, could be a group horse in a handicap. A couple at bigger prices. Kaiser Soze always runs his race in big field handicaps. Ran well in the Bunbury Cup and could, run into a place. As could Shaleer. I'm inclined to put a line through his 6th last time out because it was soft ground at Haydock, and we all know soft at Haydock means heavy. And I'm inclined to put a line through anyone's run at Haydock in soft conditions. He ran well in the opening race of Royal Ascot and stayed on towards the end. And another one is Jack's Point. Now, I don't know if any of you can shine a light on this, but he won first time up at Newmarket, finished second in the opening race behind Mata whilst his placing was nowhere, he's only beaten 3 lengths in the Wokingham, and then was 5th behind Safe Voyage at Epsom in a listed race with Shine to Bright second. So much better race. And I think this horse, trained by someone else, will be half the price. And I think maybe he'll go from the front and could run into a place. But for me, Ashazi is the each way bet.
Yeah, annoyingly, you've picked both my horses there, Ashazi and Jack's Point. Well, maybe great minds think alike. Jack's Point is very much my pick as well. I can't understand why he's such a big price, as you say. It doesn't really make any sense. The form of that second at Royal Ascot looks pretty strong. And that Wokingham run came, only a few days later. He probably she felt the exertions a little bit, and you can discount his run at Epsom, I think, because I don't think he really handled the camber. So on his best form, which he should really reproduce at a track we know he likes, I expect Jack's Point to be really hard to beat. And Ashazi down the bottom of the weight, such a low weight with that rogue George Rook, who's been in a bit of trouble this week, isn't he? Failing to declare his rides. He'd be another selection of mine as well. Templegate, what about you?
Yeah, I agree about Blue Mist. I was surprised to see it so short. I think it was just a bit of a public horse, wasn't it? The way it stormed home in the Silver Wokingham after missing the break, it was easy to spot, wasn't it? And I suppose you think 6 furlongs going to 7, maybe that's the idea, and the Silks help. I was between the two, Sheikh Hamdan, main 2. I give Ashazi a big chance again. That run at Sandown was pretty good, but I'm just favouring Mutamasik just because of the Ascot form and the big field form, which I like. That run in the Buckingham Palace, only a couple of pound higher in the weights. I know he then ran an absolute stinker in the Bunbury Cup after being backed as if he was Shergar. That just wasn't right. I mean, he's not. That something went on there. That whatever. We'll find out. But yeah, I think those are the 2 I came down. I'm just going for Mutamasik. Gin Palace for the Speed Figure fans ran a big time at Newmarket last month, dropping back from a mile, which is a slight concern. If he doesn't get too far behind, he'll steam on, I think, at the end. And you've got Ebury and Cliffs of Capri, who also ran well in the Buckingham Palace as well. So I'll go for Mutamasik, but I'll give Ashazi a big chance as well.
Great stuff. Both obviously for Hamdan Al Maktoum. He's had a cracking season so far. Can he continue it? Templegate certainly thinks he can. Right, now on to the 3 o'clock at Ascot, the Betfred Nifty 50 handicap. Plenty to look out for here, including Johan Saar, both of whom are 3-year-olds going places. It's a pretty strong field, even though only 8 runners. Chad, what do you think about this race?
There's a few that I like. It's not my normal type of betting race. I think the favourite for Frankie and Gosden, Saar, I think that's going to be too short, but he is improving, and he ran in that really hot maiden that Al Madhar won at Newmarket, and that usually signifies Gosden runs his better horses in better maidens. If you'd have asked him following that debut, I bet if you said, would you be running off 94 next July, are you happy with that? He'd have snapped your hand off it because he might not have. He might have thought he was a group horse. But there might just be something that makes me think he could be a bit short. Johan probably needs soft ground. Looking down, Great Ambassador will be the one for me at the prices. It'll be an each way price. So I think that's the big pull. Ran really well behind Calusi in the Britannia. on his seasonal debut, and I just think he'll come forward for that run. Beckett's horses are in absolutely flying form, can do no wrong. Harry Bentley isn't going too badly in the saddle as well, and I just think in quite an open race, you want a horse that's still steadily improving, and he's had a few runs, this horse, as a 2-year-old. You want that battle hardness, I think, in these open handicaps. One that I don't think will win today, but I just want to make a case for Glass Vegas down at the bottom. It'd be a huge price. Finished third behind Southern Hills and the Windsor Castle last year. Does have a bit of ability now. Got hyped up in the weights after that and hasn't ran the same since. But there's definitely a race in this horse, so he might finish 4th or 5th, but he's certainly one to watch going forward.
Great stuff. Big price, that one. Templegate, what do you think about this race?
Yeah, I mean, I've earmarked Las Vegas for the long shot on Saturday because I just think if it comes back to its best, Assume Murphy's a really eye-catching booking for the yard. I know it's not a big field, but it's massively overpriced. And again, the time, I know it was only midfield in the Britannia, but that wasn't a bad run. Yeah, 3-year-old handicaps, enough to send anyone crackers. I hear what Chad's saying about the ground for Johan, but I was quite impressed with that run at Newbury last time. Battled on really well. Time was decent. William Haggis's horses all seem to be really firing at the moment. Gone up £8 for that, but as I say, at this stage of the career, they improve so much, don't they? I'd give that a good chance. Great Ambassador again, was a bit unlucky at Royal Ascot, like Chad was saying. Should run well, and then you've got Sarah and Evening Sun again, very progressive looking types, but I'll settle for Johan, I think.
Great stuff. I'm going to agree with you, though. I think Johan's got a massive chance. As you say, I was really taken with his run at Newbury. And both starts, he's only been beaten twice, both behind Military March. I don't think there's anything of that quality in this race. So hopefully Johan can give William Haggis yet another winner. He's absolutely flying at the moment. Over to York then. We've got 2 races to cover there. The Sky Bet York Stakes Group 2, which features Ella Cam, who obviously won the race last year. We've got Telecaster, who bounced back to somewhat like his best at Longchamp last time out in a French Group 3. Regal Reality, Lord Glitters and Fox Chairman all bring very good form to the table as well, as do Aspetar and King of Comedy. A pretty high-class field of 7 runners here. Steve, let's start with you this time. What do you think is going to win this?
Yeah, I think they learned the lesson about Ella Cam, stepped up to 1.5 miles at Royal Ascot and didn't seem to enjoy it at all. Back over his ideal distance today, won the race last year. I think this is no better than that one. I mean, I don't think there's a Group 1 horse lurking in the field unless you know that you think differently. Keeps it simple from the front. I think there's quite a lot of rain around York. That would do no harm either. Obviously, Telecaster goes well at York and ran really well at Longchamp. Looks like a danger. But if you go beyond that, you've got horses like Lord Glitters, who would probably also be happier over this distance as well, and King of Comedy. The run in the Diamond at Newbury was quite good. He looks a bit of a quirky type, but has some ability. But I think if Ella Cam just comes out, bounces out, goes from the front, should be too good for them, I think.
Okay, lovely. Ella Cam for that, for Mark Johnston. Another one for Hamden Al Maktoum. I'm going to agree with you there, Steve. I think Ella Cam is definitely the one to beat. He won the race really quite easily last year. Yes, that was in soft ground, but he goes on any kind of ground, and I think he brings possibly the best form to this race. And I think he'll be hard to catch from the front, as you say. Chad, what about you? I'm
going against you, boys. For me, Ella Cam doesn't win it often enough for a horse of his ability, if that makes sense. He just doesn't quite do it for me enough, and it was a weak renewal of the race he won last year, and again on soft ground. He hasn't quite progressed the horse I thought he was when he was. We won his first 2 starts as a 2-year-old. I thought he was going to be a proper horse, and at the moment he's putting around Group 2 and Group 3 class for me. I actually like Regal Reality for Holly Doyle and Sir Michael Stoutner. Horse ran okay in the Eclipse. I've said to you both, haven't I? Ella Cam doesn't win enough, but neither does this horse, to be honest. I haven't covered myself in glory with this one, but I do think that he does have the ability. He's still relatively lightly raced, and he is the kind of horse that Sir Michael Stout does really, really well with. And I just think Holly Doyle's booking is quite attractive. 25% strike rate for Sir Michael Stout. Although she's never had a winner at York, she only had 7 rides. It doesn't mean she won't ride a winner there. She's absolute top jockey in the saddle. And I just think at the prices, that would be the tentative selection for me. I think the whole of the racing industry would love to see Lord Glitters win for Jeff Turnbull, who sadly passed away earlier. I think that would be quite a poignant winner at York if he was to win. So certainly would love him to win. I think it's fair to say, but on from a betting point of view, Regal Reality.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great to see Lord Wickles's win, wouldn't it? It'd be fantastic. One for Cheveley Park for Chad then. Right, finally, the 3:15, which is the Sky Bet Club handicap. Handicap over 7 furlongs for 3-year-olds and above, rated up to 105. A pretty strong race again, but only 9 runners. A few in here with chances, including Orban, who won last time out for the absolutely flying David O'Mara yard. Hartswood down the bottom of the handicap also has claims for Richard Fahey. Then you look at the likes of Greenside, who won last time out for Henry Candy, and then El Wazir, Al Araig, and a few others. Steve, let's start with you this time. Thoughts on this field?
Yeah, no, 9 runners, but a tricky one. I've come down on Hartswood. Yorks, of course, I like to see horses have run there well in the past, and he certainly did that last time. Came back from 9 months off, ran on strongly over the 7 furlongs, gets an extra furlong today. Richard Fahey's horse has been going really well lately as well. I think he'll go very close from £4 higher than that. Al Araig as well, Irag, ran well at Haydock last time. And there's another one who likes this trip and looks on a fair weight. You've just got a bit of a wild card in El Wazir as well, who on breeding shouldn't be running in races like this, but he's not been at his best for a while. But he comes back in distance here and could run well. But again, you've got Holly Doyle with a big chance on Irv as well. So it's one of those. I've gone for Hartswood, but as you can say, I'm not putting the mortgage money on it.
Yeah, very competitive, as you say.
Yeah.
Chad, what are your thoughts on the race?
This race, I mean, when I looked at it, because it's one of the Betway 4 to win legs, and I looked at the race and thought, "Core blimey, no, this is not one for me." And now I've convinced myself I'm back in 3 in the race. I don't know why, I've just fallen into this wormhole of going through the form. El Wazir should be, and on all natural ability and all known form, should be miles clear and should be winning this in a hat canter. And if he does win easily, because I can't believe it wasn't the most obvious bet of all time. He was once considered a Derby horse, and now he's running in a 0 to 105 against horses rated in the high 80s. But he should be miles clear of these, but it never works out that way, does it? There's always one that comes and scuppers you. So I've gone for 2 big prices. Silent Attack for Tony Carroll, previously with Saib Binter Roy. Seemingly so, better on the all-weather. But there are some early bits of form that suggest that he could be well handicapped. I know he's off a rate of 100, so he's not, miles down there. But there is a few lines of form that suggest that he could run really well. Ben Curtis, eye-catching booking, and he's going to be nearer 33 to 1 than anything. And Just Hiss hasn't really shown too much in his last 2 starts, but his 2 career victories have both come at York. And as Steve says, it's strange, isn't it? Certain tracks you just want to see. There's nothing unique really about York as such. Like you could say about Chester or Bath, but there's just certain things that you just want to see course form stack up. And York's one of those tracks, same as Ascot really. If horses go there, they tend to go well there again. And I just think Tim Easterby, he knows the time of day, and at the prices he could run into a place. But El Wazir would be the tentative selection of the best horse in the race. Great
stuff. Yet another one for Hand Down Al Maktoum. Plenty of those being thrown around today. Great stuff, guys. Thank you very much. Lovely to preview that for Saturday's racing. I'm going to stick my neck out and say Al Araig in that last handicap. I think he's got a big chance, considering not sure he quite handled the soft ground, but still ran a really big race last time. And the time before that, I thought he was isolated a little bit. So hopefully he can go and win that race for me. Great stuff, guys. Best of luck with your bets, and to you all at home this weekend. It promises to be a big weekend of action once again, and we'll see you all very soon.
Love it.